Hello, everybody. As I said yesterday, I'm using the Bible app so that I can pick a verse of the day. And it is this one. What does that say? Hebrews 12:14. And it says, try to live in peace. But I'm going to read the whole thing, then I'll get to the specific part. Um, Hebrews 12:14. Um, okay. So I'll read the whole thing, then get to the specific verse as I just said. And it says, be careful how you live. That's the title of it. You have become weak, so make yourself strong again. Live in the right way so that you will be saved and your weakness will not cause you to be lost. Try to live in peace with everyone and try to keep your lives free from sin. Anyone whose life is not holy will never see the Lord. Be careful that no one fails to get God's grace. Be careful that no one loses their faith and becomes like a bitter weed growing among you. Someone like that can ruin your whole group. But be careful that no one commits sexual sin. And be careful that no one is like Esau and never thinks about God. As the oldest son, Esau would have inherited everything from his father, but he sold all that for a single meal. You remember that after Esau did this, he wanted to get his father's blessing. He wanted that blessing so much that he cried, but his father refused to give him the blessing because Esau could find no way to change what he had done. You have not come to a place that can be seen and touched like the mountain the people of Israel saw, which was burning with fire and covered with darkness, gloom and storm. There is no sound of a trumpet or a voice speaking words like those they heard. When they heard the voice, they begged never to hear another word. They did not want to hear the command, if anything, even an animal touches the mountain, it must be killed with stones. What they saw was so terrible that Moses said, I am shaking with fear. But you have come to Mount Zion, to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem. You have come to a place where thousands of angels have gathered to celebrate. You have come to the meeting of God's firstborn children. Their names are written in heaven. You have come to God, the judge of all people. And you have come to the spirits of good people who have been made perfect. You have come to Jesus, the one who brought the new agreement from God to his people. You have come to the sprinkled blood that tells us about better things than the blood of Abel. Be careful and don't refuse to listen when God speaks. Those people refused to listen to him when he warned them on earth and they did not escape. Now God is speaking from heaven. So now it will be worse for those who refuse to listen to him. When he spoke before, his voice shook the earth. But now he has promised, once again I will shake the earth, but I will also shake heaven. The words once again clearly shows us that everything that was created will be destroyed. That is the things that can be shaken, and only what cannot be shaken will remain. So we should be thankful because we have a kingdom that cannot be shaken, and because we are thankful, we should worship God in a way that will please him. We should do this with respect and fear because our God is like a fire that can destroy it. Okay, so that's the whole summary of it. And I'll do it backwards today because it's a lot of information. So what I'll do instead is first speak on the specific verse of the day, and then I will go back and talk about the whole chapter because it's a lot of references to the Old Testament and it needs a little explaining, so it might be a few minutes. But hopefully I can keep this all under 15 minutes. It's at 5 minutes right now. So the specific verse of the day was Hebrews 12:14, okay? And what that says is try to live in peace with everyone and try to keep your lives free from sin. Anyone whose life is not holy will never see the Lord. And that in itself is self-explanatory. It's just telling you do right. And that's really what the whole chapter is saying. Live in peace with everyone, however much is possible. Live in peace with everyone and keep your lives free from sin. Anyone whose life is not holy will never see the Lord. And that's what the whole verse is really about. So, the title of the verse, let's go down to it. The title of the verse was Be Careful How You Live. And that's just the whole thing is almost like a warning to you to say, be careful how you live, do things right, do the things the right way. Because at the end of it all, while you're going through your life doing all the things you know you're not supposed to do, there's a payment at the end of it for doing all of it. So let's go verse by verse to explain the whole thing. You have become weak, so make yourself strong again. It's possible if you feel weak now or if you're caught up in a lot of sins, you can always come back. As long as you're alive, there's still a chance for you to repent and come back to God and do things the right way. Live in the right way so that you will be saved and your weakness will not cause you to be lost. That's self-explanatory. Do things right. That's all it's saying in this whole verse. Uh, Here's the verse we spoke on. Try to live in peace with everyone and keep your lives free from sin. Sin is so easy to get into, so hard to get out of. Usually, we all have that little sensor inside of us. If you feel that something is wrong, it's going to be an alert in you that makes you question, should I do this or not? Usually, if you have to question something, don't do it unless it's a good thing. And we all know what's good and bad, or we should. If you don't, open your Bible and it tells you exactly what's good to do, what's bad to do, whatever. So, uh, anyone whose life is not holy will never see the Lord. Okay? So with that, we can skip all the way down to where I was reading about Esau. If you might have heard me say Esau, it's spelled Esau. That's his name. And it gives you no definition where that comes from. You're like, who is this? Esau. Just out of the blue, they start talking about Esau. But his name is from back in the Old Testament. He had a twin. His twin was Jacob. Yeah. His twin. I had to think about it. But his twin was Jacob. So, um, this is what happened in the lineage. Everyone knows about Abraham. Abraham, father of nations. God came to him and said that you're going to have kids even though he hadn't had kids yet. And he didn't believe him because he was getting so old, hundreds of years old or whatever. And he finally had a child. His child was Isaac. And Isaac had Jacob and Esau, which were twins. And Esau, he was the firstborn, the first one that popped out of the womb. So if you're the firstborn in the nation of Israel, then you're really the one who's supposed to get all the blessings and the heritage. And, you're almost like the leader, the one who gets everything when your dad dies or whatever. So he was supposed to get all that. But one day he went out hunting and he got so hungry, he rushed in and his brother, his younger brother or his twin was a good at cooking or whatever. He cooked food and he had some food ready. And his brother came in from hunting and he was so tired. He's like, look, if you give me that food that you got right now, I'll sell you my birthright. Meaning that I'll transfer everything that I'm supposed to get to you. And Jacob's like, okay, that sounds good to me. I'll take it. I've already eaten anyway. So he goes in and Jacob's name, his name means trickster. So he was always up to some schemes and of course he's gonna take this offer. But it wasn't like he schemed him. He just agreed to what he was offered. But so now Jacob is blessed with all these good things. Once his dad dies, he's gonna be pretty much like the leader or the big brother now because he's getting all the stuff and he has the blessings of God that was supposed to go to Esau. And Esau's all sad because he gave it up and there was no way that he could change what he had done. That's what this verse said. But his father refused to give him the blessing because when on Isaac's deathbed, he was ready to bless the oldest child, but he couldn't do that because he had already, he already, oh, he had already given his birthrights to his brother Jacob, and also this is the part where Jacob was tricky or scheming or whatever, and lived up to his name of being a trickster because Esau was out hunting another day, and Jacob's mom and Jacob came together with the idea and said, look, your dad's about to die, and I like you the most out of both of you brothers, which isn't really a good thing to do, but still she had a right to say I like you the most. So she liked Jacob. The dad liked Esau. So excuse the noise, but anyway. So Jacob Jacob and his mom made a plan to put fur on his hand, like sheep's fur, because the big brother Esau, he was furry. So they knew that the dad couldn't really see, so they had a plan to put fur on Jacob's hand and then take him into the dad and tell the dad that this is Esau, not Jacob. Touch his hand and see, because it's hairy, just like Esau is, so that he can get the blessing. So the dad, Isaac, was skeptical. To make a long story short, he was like, "Oh, is this my son, my oldest son, Esau?" And then Jacob lied and said, "Yes, it is," and let him feel his hand to see that it was furry like the big brother. And then he's like, "Okay, I guess it's because I can't see and I really can't hear that I'm thinking that it's not you." So anyway, he blesses Jacob and gives him the blessing of the lineage, of the heritage, of the the blessings that an older child would get, and he gave it to Jacob. And Esau came in later and said, "Dad, okay, I'm ready to give my blessing." But Isaac said, "I already gave it away. I thought that that was you who came to me." So Jacob took that part of the blessing too. So with all that said, that relates to this sentence that says, "But his father refused to give him the blessing because Esau could find no way to change what he had done." He wanted that blessing so much that he cried. And in this verse, it's trying to say that to us. If you give something away, like Esau gave away his blessings for a plate of food, if you give something away and in a sinful manner, then, you know, it goes back up to where it says, um, anyone whose life is not holy will never see the Lord. So watch what you're giving away in the world, because there may be a point where you give it away, just like Esau said, "I'll trade you my birthright for the plate of food. I don't care about it. Just give it to me." He traded that in, and there was nothing he could do to get it back. So in the same way, God's saying that I've given you the ways to live. I've given you instruction for life, and if you're not doing things in a holy way or whatever, then no matter how much you beg, cry, or plead, it's already given away. You'll never see me. You'll never be able to see me or be in my presence. Um, so that's what all that's about. Um, it says also, "You have not come to a place that can be seen and touched like the mountain." Okay, this also refers to the Old Testament. This section that I read is so much packed into one. So I hope that it's getting out clear. But this next section, after we talked about Esau, it went to how the people of Israel, um, back in the day, God was amongst the people and trying to make his presence known so that it can last forever. The story of him can last forever, which it has. And it would be a big effect on the people to show that, hey, I want to be a God. I'm here amongst you. I come by a cloud in the day and fire by night. I'm sitting here with you. I talk to you from the mountain. And he's doing all these things in appearance as much as he wants to allow himself, because he's not going to let the people see himself how he is fully, but he comes in various forms, in a cloud, in fire, by a voice in the mountains, all that stuff. But it's saying that you have come to God, the judge of all people, and you have come to the spirits of good people who have been made perfect. You have come to Jesus, the one who brought the new agreement from God to his people. You have come to the sprinkled blood that tells us about better things than the blood of Abel. There's so much to explain there, so it would take me hours to really go into everything. So I'm just going to get to the main point. The gist of the whole message is obey God. That's about it. Um, because when I try to start dwelling into each part, it just gets scattered. And you'd have to know or already know the subjects in the Bible to know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you want to know more, then read Hebrews 12, okay, and then flashback to the Old Testament, probably around Genesis, and then you'll get to read that whole story. Yeah, the whole book of Genesis, and read this. It correlates, it relates to each other. So, and then you can find out what I'm talking about on your own. But try to live in peace with everyone. That's the whole gist of it, and try to keep your lives free from sin. Anyone whose life is not holy will never see the Lord. So how can you live in peace with everyone? Um, Sometimes it's human nature for others want to cause strife or problems or get something jumping. You know, it's almost like what humans thrive off of. Oh, what's going on today? What can I get started? And sometimes all that mangling and instigating and trying to start something up, it can cause problems and make lives unpeaceable, if that's a word, unpeaceable, out of peace, something like that. But what this is just saying, try to live in peace. How can you do that? Sometimes you have to ignore stupidity. Yeah, we can do that. Um, if you're someone who starts things, if you're a problem starter yourself, then check yourself. Make it that easy. When you notice you're saying something that causes a conflict, think to yourself, why am I saying this? Is it really necessary? Peace should be a good thing that we are all desiring. But some people like a rowdy life where it's always a problem or drama going on. I don't like that. I like peace, and I do everything to stay in peace. Um, and also it says try to keep your lives free from sin. Sin, like I mentioned earlier in this video, sin is so easy to get into. We have our own desires, our own wishes or whatever. And sin just appears fun on the outside, but after you get into it, you realize that you wish you had avoided it the whole time. Sometimes it's best to, even though it might seem exciting or wild or fun or whatever, it's best just to leave it alone and just go ahead and do what you want to do based on God's word only, not what you decide to do with your own body or whatever, your own desire. Anyone whose life is not holy will never see the Lord. That's simple and plain. I say it like this in plenty other videos. God's not the one who sends us who's really gonna cast us to hell. He's really just like the sorter. He gives you this free will. He tells you what's good, what's bad. Think in your mind. What things do you think of that are good? Okay. Helping people, loving people, caring about people, sharing with people, giving with people, being able to receive from people, being joyous. All those are good things. Now, what do you think about that's evil or sinful or whatever? You're probably thinking about murder, killing, cheating, stealing, lying, all those things listed on the Ten Commandments. It's easy to sort it out. So it's right in your face. You choose this way and do good, or you choose this way and do the opposite of good. And when you make your own choice based on your free will, then that determines where you end up. It's not God saying I cast you to hell. No, He's just saying I gave you free will and this is the lifestyle you wanted. You like this, so you will be over here because I'm on the side with all the holy things and good things. I'm going to sort you out where you decided to go and go on over there. I mean, it's simple as that. It's not like God sits there with lightning bolts and then throws them down to you just because you make a mistake. No, He's saying live how you want to. I'm telling you the best way to live, but you are free to choose what you want to do. So, and that is about it. I'm going to just summarize it up with that. So much in this chapter. It was a very long one, and there's so much to talk on, but that's the whole gist of it. Just obey God and do what's holy. And there are definite rewards. If it's not, sin always has a consequence, one way or the other. And whether you get rewards or not, the biggest reward is that if you choose to do good, then at least there's no consequences to your bad. If if that's all you get out of doing good, that's enough. But God does make lots of promises in the Bible saying that He'll take care of you, protect you, provide for your needs, all these things. So that comes along with doing good. So you'll never fail, never be down, never be out. As far as I know it, I can't think of a time that God has let me down. So I appreciate Him. And with that, I will say the prayer that Jesus taught us all. Our Father who art in heaven, holy is your name. Your kingdom will come and your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our debts as we forgive those who have debts against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For it's yours is the kingdom and power and glory forever and ever. In Jesus' name, amen. And everyone have a very blessed day. Bye-bye.